Tibet. And can we stand by and just look on? 6,246 monasteries and temples robbed and ruined and destroyed, a fifth of the whole population murdered, 130,000 forced into exile, and about 3,000 fleeing every year across the mountains over passes of 6,000 meters, a civilization and a culture deliberately devastated by an occupying atheist autocracy, continuing enforcing violent oppression to this day. Now 58 years of colonization by brute force, destruction, brainwash, propaganda, and enforced materialism and atheism. The Chinese communist regime is kowtowed to by all the business world for its economy, while therefore politicians also crawl to that most dreadful rotten empire of lies, an outward face all smiles, an inward face all cruelty, deceit, and power greed. It started off Pol Pot manipulating him to run the Holocaust regime of poor Cambodia. It gave to Pakistan its nuclear potency and served both sides of Nepal's civil war with weapons. It is maintaining Burma's military inhumanity, of drug monopolies, of heroin and total tyranny, and what else? The ruins of Tibet, if anything, cry out forever against cruelty and atheism as the ideology of the most corrupt communist regime in history of China. Marriage, why not? I always tried to stick to the platonic form of love as the most rational, reliable, and relevant, especially in our age of planet-risking overpopulation. Quarrels was my horror always, and in matrimony they can never be avoided. I was once deceived and quite determined never to become deceived again, and I was never willing to end up a hero under any slipper. You can have as free and independent any number of good friends of any gender, but as married one relationship must dominate all others, which was never in accordance with my democratic freedom soul. The final argument that as a free man you can love the more is maybe though the most decisive, vital, and determining my fate. Stuck in love. What's better and what's worse? The nightmare of uncertainty, of the force of jealousy? When the communication lines don't work and you are left like on a desert island in a void, the nightmares of uncertainty and jealousy pursuing you and haunting you and hunting you to death each night, not knowing what your love is doing in whose arms, while all that you can do yourself is wallowing in self-torment, like in the straitjacket of cruelty of destiny, much worse than any hospitalization. Your sole comfort is that you still love her, and will go on doing so no matter what she does, since no one can get out of that heart she has entered. Thank God for feminism. Just don't let it put you down, that squeamish, scrupulous meticulousness appertaining to the oversensitivity of female delicacy, leading to the pettiest of pedantry. Forget all that and look to beauty. Disregard the coarse uncouthness of the masculine barbarity, and let it be replaced by all the virtues of true femininity, the modesty and delicacy of consideration, and the touch of suaveness in the magic of the sieve of lovable romanticism, that alone makes life endurable by that unique spice of eternity called love. Forget the sexes and the genders. Love is all that matters, constantly transcending every limit and surpassing all in life that is affected by that petty and ignoble menace called mortality. Nepal. There is no one braver or more stalwart and intrepid than a Sherpa or a Gurkha, sticking to the end in faithfulness, agility and bravery. A mountain people with incredible potentials and one of the poorest countries in the world, torn asunder by a fatal civil war of 10 long years because of foreign powers intervening, arming terrorists and anarchists with weapons to be able to impose dictatorship themselves. But Nepal is and always was the freest of all Asian nations, which the British wisely did respect and therefore never colonized, but left it wild to only take into their service individuals, unconquerable Gurkhas and invaluable Sherpas, best of mountain fighters, first to climb Mount Everest, fantastic representatives of this so hearty people, hot and hard, but nice and friendly, and, like every mountain people, warmer, more reliable and loyal in their hearts, as if they were more human in the hardship of their mountain wisdom than all plain and ordinary human beings. Love simplicity. When the cold attacks you savagely with deep freeze, let your love get warm and warm you up. When dampness and humidity strikes deep with roughness in your limbs, let sunshine love with comfort dry you up. When darkness looms, assailing you increasingly and overwhelmingly in winter days, let love loose in your soul to light you up. When your love is away on distant journeys and adventures, and you never know if you at all will see her yet again, let her in spirit in your dreams appear. Just think of her and she will never leave you, and thus will your love continue to remain with you in constant dreams as long as you just keep on loving. Another love definition. Love is dying without dying, an eternal pain of pure delight, a torment utterly enjoyable forever, and a mortal fall into an endlessness of darkness, into the abysmal death of life, reborn to start again from the beginning, this delightful craze of sadomasochism, which hurts the more for its endurance, and the deeper, harder, and more painful for its spirituality, sincerity, and honesty. The greatest lover was Othello for his jealousy. No Romeo, no Tristan knew love better than the Moor, who knew it was worth dying for it and was quite consistent in so doing. So do never cry, complain, or treat love negatively, but endure it and enjoy it for its sufferings. For it is certainly the greatest privilege in life that man was offered for his bold decision to at all take up this haphazard existence, to endure and suffer for it with his love. The anti-modernist. Is it wrong to be a realist? Is clarity to be condemned, since you are not allowed to be outspoken, as if direct honesty was something negative, while shadowy and fishy innuendos were preferable? Is downright classicism condemnable then, and no more allowed? What is poetry and verbal art if not free license for expressive sumptuousness and loose imaginative speculation? If you give it then some comprehensible and realistic form, and use some relevant correct syntax and grammar, so that it approaches something of a style, is that then to despise, denounce, and scrap, since it is not in line with Ezra Pound and T.S. Eliot, James Joyce and Samuel Beckett? What's wrong with an obnoxious anti-modernist is that he is so shockingly as so upsetting radical in the completely wrong direction, since he breaks with fashion tendencies and ruling nonsense and rejects the dissolution of all forms and language, heading strong against the stream by being clear-cut and demanding realism and comprehensibility, And is it then so damnably completely wrong? Impressions of India, this fascinating continent, more populous than Europe, is still dominated by the oldest of the world's religions, quite unbrokenly since 3 millennia at least, making her the oldest intact culture in our world, enriching it in the historic process with one world religion more, the high morale, integrity and wisdom of the common sense philosophy of Buddhism, while at times disturbed by more intolerant intruders like the Muslims and the Christians, doing what they could to devastate the history, the culture and traditions of the ancient heathen India, which instead absorbed them to enrich her culture with them, adding constantly more faiths, more languages and cultures, more philosophies and outlooks on the world and life, thus constantly remaining basically tolerant and universal, which repeatedly her history has proved. In modern times there has been a considerable renaissance of Hinduism, heralded by Romain Rolland, who introduced in Europe Ramakrishna with his followers Vivekananda and Rabindranath Tagore. The latter gave a universal voice to Hindu tolerance and wisdom, cordially embracing every faith and heralding a world community and unity, like in a university of common faiths and knowledge, cultures, shared philosophies and mutual creativeness. Not only Kipling, Talbot Mundy, MMK, John Masters and Jim Corbett, first to introduce national parks of wildlife, owed their lives to India, but Mahatma Gandhi was an Indian too, accomplishing political reforms and miracles by obstinate non-violence. One of his pupils was the Japanese monk Nichidatsu Fuji, rebelling against society, career and martial life by sticking to a beggar's life and making it his mission to erect peace stupas all around the world, especially in India, as a demonstration against nuclear weapons, having seen Hiroshima and Nagasaki, making it his goal to have all nuclear weapons in the world dismantled. He was active to the end, 100 years old when he passed away, some 20 years ago, but his peace stupas go on rising everywhere, in Africa, in South America, in London, India, and all over Asia, crying out the urgent message universally, peace, please. Dharamsala, blessed haven of Tibetan refugees, they come to you through snows and hardships, across icy passes of 6,000 meters, shot at in the process by insentient China soldiers, as if the oppression in Tibet was not enough. But escapees must even have to run the gauntlet across the austerity of the forbidding Himalayas to, in Dharamsala, finally find freedom and a human treatment with full dignity as ordinary, faithful, human and compassionate Tibetans. During the horrific Holocaust against the Jews, they still in concentration death camps found the means to make the best of a bad bargain, stay alive, survive the Nazis, and in places even make rebellion, like in Sobibor, Treblinka and the Warsaw Ghetto, and in later days look back with some nostalgic tenderness to those horrific challenge days, remember the communities and even love that strange existence of extreme conditions. In the same way, the Tibetans face the challenge, make the best of it, and never give up faith or spirit, certain that one day again Tibet will be set free, while nothing can redeem the Chinese occupation force from facing the severest accusations of the facts of history. Meanwhile, the thriving paradise of Dharamsala keeps on working hard with meditation and enlightenment and spreading worldwide the immortal message of the sacredness of freedom, truth, integrity, and wisdom, spiting all the mortal rotten lies of all autocracies in history. Kashmir, war-torn paradise of inexpressible beauty, with the friendliest people in the world, embracing any stranger with their love and overwhelmingly presenting to them this fairy tale of beauty and reality, of magic lakes of endless peace and mountains towering around them to enshrine the loveliest realm of India, torn asunder by politics, civil war, and meaningless atrocities since 60 years, with countless innocents as victims, like in any war resulting from politics, that established ignorance called power only causing miserable havoc by the irresponsibility of humankind. But beauty, paradise, and peace survives, is always born anew and never tires, and shines through the most romantic landscape of the blessed mountains of Kashmir, the land of overwhelming beauty, which eventually will conquer and prevail, since there was never any human heart that was not moved by truth when it was beautiful. The inescapability of love. I love you, but I don't need you, but I need to love you, which is a more potent urge than nature, which not even nature can inhibit, sabotage, postpone, or hinder, which is why we have no choice but keep on loving constantly forever, making the best out of it, and overcoming obstacles and spite all destinies, defy the mundane horror world, and just keep on in faithfulness, sincerity, devotion, and profundity, to just go on expanding and enlarging the forever growing depth and truth of love. Wounded. You cannot get more hurt in wars, in accidents, or in disasters than in love. When disappointment is but followed by more disappointments, when the wounds are only opened deeper, and when nothing can be healed, for punctured soul cannot be bandaged, and all is only worsened time and time again in something like a constant hellish repetition, which gets on, gets worse, more cruel and more unjust, then enters the banal, ridiculous situation that your love is changed to hate, and thus the irreparable self-torment only worsens in its utter pain. And still you hesitate to make the operation, to just end it all, disrupt and close up the relationship, to kill your feelings and seal up that chamber in your soul, since still the memories are there of how it started in its glorious beauty, only to be crushed by a reality which always was infallibly insensitive and ruthless in its cursed sordidness, which in its unawareness, murderous insensitivity, is worse and crueler than death. Sårad. Mer sårad kan man inte bli i krig, i olyckor, i katastrofer än i kärlek. När besvikelsen blott följs av fler besvikelser, när såren bara borras djupare, när ingenting kan helas, ty punkterad själ kan aldrig plåstras om, och allting blott förvärras om och om igen i ett slags ständigt mer helvetisk tjatighet, som bara håller på, blir värre, grymmare och mera orättvis. Då uppstår den banala, löjliga situationen att ens kärlek byts till hat, och så blir det ohyggliga plågeriet bara ännu värre och mer smärtsamt. Ändå drar man sig från den kirurgiska operationen att helt enkelt göra slut, förtränga relationen, döda känslorna och stänga detta själsrum, då dock minnena finns kvar av hur det var då allting började så innerligt gudomligt vackert. bara för att krossas av en verklighet som alltid var fullkomligt okänslig och hänsynslös i sin fördömda krasshet, som i sin omedvetenhets okänslighet är grymmare än döden. The pain of life. When pain invades and kills the soul, so let it kill, but let it not desist, but go on killing with its pain, so that it can be felt most thoroughly, and so that you can feel the more that you are still alive and can survive the pain of having your soul killed. Thus you can also go on loving, although love is dead and murdered, since it goes on hurting, and so hard, so outrageously and intolerably hard, so that you almost feel the more alive, for it's so hurting so outrageously. So cut no bones on me by amputation, master barber surgeon, for all my gangrene, and transplant not my heart, although it is so broken, but let me live on as long as it just hurts enough, so that I yet may feel to still be living all the way until I die. Livssmärtan. När smärtan dödar själen, låt den döda, men låt den ej upphöra, men fortsätt att döda med sin smärta, så att smärtan känns ordentligt, så att man ändå får känna att man lever och kan överleva smärtan av att ha en dödad själ. Så kan man även fortsätta att älska, fastän kärleken är död och mördad, då den alltjämt gör så ont, så alldeles förbannat ont, så att man nästan blir som än mer levande just för att det gör så förbannat ont. Så amputera inga ben på mig, herr Fältskär, trots min kallbrand, och transplantera inget hjärta, fast det gamla har gått sönder. Låt mig leva vidare så länge det gör ont, så att jag dock får känna att jag lever ända tills jag dör.